In the heart of New York City, the skies darkened with an ominous presence as Spider-Man swung gracefully through the towering buildings, his red and blue suit a streak of color against the gray clouds. Peter Parker, under the mask, was aware of an unsettling disturbance, a surge of energy detectable only with his heightened spider sense. Miles away, in a concealed laboratory humming with the energy of experimentation, Godspeed was preparing himself. Once an ordinary scientist named August Hart, he had turned into Godspeed after a lab accident that granted him super speed. A formidable opponent with a personal vendetta against Spider-Man, Godspeed harbored the goal of testing his limits. That evening, the city streets were eerily silent. Spider-Man perched on top of a street lamp, surveying the surroundings. His senses tingled once more, sharper this time. The environment seemed to bend and warp as Godspeed approached. He was barely visible, a blur to the naked eye, the air crackling with his velocity. "Looking for me, Spidey?" Godspeed taunted, his voice carried by the wind. Spider-Man's response was immediate. "Why don't we slow things down a bit? You're making a mess with all that speed." He leapt forward, launching a web to intercept Godspeed. The battle commenced with ferocious intensity. Godspeed darted in all directions, each movement a calculated attempt to weave around Spider-Man's strategic web traps. Despite Godspeed's superior speed, Spider-Man's agility and intelligence matched wits and reflexes. He predicted Godspeed's paths, laying out webs like a strategic chess player, closing exits until only one unpredictable escape route remained. However, Godspeed wasn't just about speed. He was clever and cunning. He realized Spider-Man could predict his maneuvers and decided to change his pattern erratically. A sudden clash ensued as Godspeed charged with unexpected fury, catching Spider-Man by surprise. Peter lunged, twisting in midair, barely evading a blow that could have been catastrophic. He landed gracefully, his hands gripping a thin strand of webbing. Godspeed paused, acknowledging Spider-Man's skill. "You're tougher than you look, but can you keep up forever?" Spider-Man breathed steadily, his mind racing. "Long enough to figure you out." Their battle pushed them through alleys, up skyscrapers, and across city parks. The environment served as both battlefield and a test of their powers. Every encounter between them was a blur of speed and agility, a dance that neither could sustain forever. Finally, Spider-Man seized the opportunity he had been waiting for. As Godspeed attempted yet another barrage, Peter anticipated the move and launched a web net that weaved around Godspeed, entangling him. "Gotcha!" Spider-Man exclaimed triumphantly as Godspeed struggled futilely against the web's adhesive grip. Spider-Man approached cautiously. "You know, August, it doesn't have to be like this." Godspeed sighed heavily, the weight of his obsession beginning to lift. "Maybe you're right, Parker," he admitted, finally realizing that perhaps his pursuit had taken the wrong path. With their battle coming to an end, New York City returned to its usual hustle and bustle, unaware of the extraordinary clash of speed and agility that had just unfolded above their heads. Spider-Man and Godspeed would meet again, but for now, peace was restored. The world was once again on the brink of disaster. An unknown entity from the outer reaches of the universe had arrived on Earth, spreading chaos and panic. This entity, known only as the Devourer, was bent on consuming entire planets to fuel its never-ending hunger. The Avengers, Earth's mightiest heroes, were alerted to the presence of the Devourer when communication systems worldwide started malfunctioning. Captain America, the leader with unwavering principles, knew they had to act quickly. He called an urgent meeting at the Avengers Tower. Iron Man, with his vast intellect and charisma, quickly analyzed the energy emissions of the Devourer. "This thing has the capability to wipe out entire continents in mere minutes," he said, his face serious, yet determined. Black Widow, as always, was calm and collected, and strategized the infiltration of the Devourer's defenses. Thor, the god of thunder, vowed to unleash the fury of Asgard upon the invader, while Hulk, the unstoppable force of nature, prepared to take on the brute force of the Devourer, should it come to that. Hawkeye, with his precise aim and keen eyesight, planned to provide long-range support. Scarlet Witch, with her mystical abilities, focused on understanding the otherworldly energies that powered the giant being. As time was of the essence, the Avengers split into teams to address various facets of the threat. Iron Man and Black Widow took to the skies to dismantle the Devourer's primary energy source, while Thor and Hulk aimed to confront the entity directly. Captain America, alongside Scarlet Witch and Hawkeye, sought to protect major cities and counteract any secondary threats deployed by the Devourer. The battle was fierce as the sky lit up with flashes of lightning and explosions. The Devourer retaliated by unleashing its own minions, attempting to break the world's defenders. Amongst the chaos, Iron Man discovered a critical flaw in the Devourer's armor, a chance for the final assault. With the combined might of Thor and Hulk, and with Iron Man's redirected energy blasts, they managed to breach the Devourer's defenses. Scarlet Witch, using her manipulation of reality, destabilized the creature's core. In united effort, the Avengers launched their final attack. Thor summoned his most powerful lightning strike. Iron Man unleashed a concentrated repulsor blast, and Scarlet Witch amplified the strike with her magic, resulting in an overwhelming explosion that eradicated the Devourer. Victory was theirs, and Earth's safety was assured once more. As the dust settled, Captain America reminded them all that vigilance and unity were key. The Avengers had once again saved the day, leaving behind new hope for a future where Earth's mightiest heroes stood guard against any threat that dared to approach. In the bustling city of Karachi, life moved at its usual frenetic pace. The sun was setting, painting the sky with hues of orange and purple as the citizens hurriedly wound up their day. Unbeknownst to them, a sinister threat loomed over the horizon. An infamous villain known only as Nimbus, who had control over weather-manipulating technology, planned to unleash a devastating storm upon the city. Tony Stark, the genius, billionaire, playboy, philanthropist we all know as Iron Man, was alerted to Nimbus's plan through Jarvis. Realizing the magnitude of the potential disaster, Tony suited up in his most advanced armor and flew across the globe, setting his sights on Karachi. As he soared over the Arabian Sea, Tony activated all his sensors, scanning for signs of Nimbus's nefarious activities. Jarvis pinged a rooftop on one of the tallest buildings in the city. It was the source of unusual meteorological patterns. Without hesitation, Iron Man descended swiftly, landing with a metallic thud atop the grand Karachi Tower. Nimbus was there, overseeing his machinery that churned and crackled with electricity, fueling a storm that was beginning to gather strength over the ocean. "You're too late, Iron Man," Nimbus taunted, his voice crackling through the chaos. Tony, unfazed, replied with a steely determination. "Not if I have anything to do with it, Nimbus." He engaged his repulsors and unleashed a barrage of targeted blasts, aiming to disable the weather machines. The rooftop transformed into a battlefield as sparks flew and machinery clashed with Iron Man's advanced suit. Nimbus, desperate to protect his vile plan, activated drones programmed to attack Tony. But Iron Man, unmatched in both wit and technology, quickly adapted. Using heat-seeking countermeasures, he neutralized the drones one by one. The battle raged as the storm began to build, threatening to tip over the edge into a full-fledged disaster. However, Tony's relentless effort started to pay off. He hacked into Nimbus's systems through Jarvis, turning the very machinery intended for destruction against the villain. The electric surge backfired, frying Nimbus's controls and shutting down the storm. With the city safe, a quiet murmur of thanks was echoed through the streets as people saw the skies clear and the storm dissipate. Nimbus was taken into custody, his sinister goals thwarted. Iron Man, with a subtle nod towards the horizon, took to the skies once more, his work in Karachi done. Tony knew the world was full of danger, but he was ready, as always, to save the day. Karachi was just another reminder of why Iron Man never rests.